Okay, so hi, nice to meet you all here. And my talk is Ruby and Friends, taking Go as an example. And before I started, I would like to say again what I'm going to talk in this talk, in case that you have any misunderstand what is going to be presented in the following minutes. So in this talk, I'm not going to tell you how Go language is good or one language is good, something like that. No, I wouldn't say that too much things about Go language, but I will put emphasis on how to play this language and especially how to integrate it with your current Ruby environment. Namely, it's all about communication between Go and Ruby language. Okay, so before I started, let me introduce myself. I'm Richard. I currently serve as CTO in Paradise. Our company mainly work on iCook. iCook is a recipe sharing website. Yesterday, my fellow developer, David, talked about our API design last afternoon. And so I try hard. I try to not to talk too much about our product in this talk. And I love to contribute to open source, both in Ruby and some in Objective-C, and of course some in Go language. And you can find me using my Twitter handle, Dalacti, on Twitter, GitHub, and elsewhere. Okay, so in this talk, the first thing I want to say is about Go language. Some people might understand Go language and might even write some Go codes before, but I will try to briefly introduce what it is and what it's good at. For certain case, I think writing in Go is efficient and fun, but some not. And then I will say about Go with Ruby using asynchronous workers and then using remote procedure code. And finally, I will give you some advanced tool if you want to dip into this topic. So why choose another language when you have Ruby? Yesterday, you have heard about Matt's keynote, and he said that Ruby is superior than Python. I believe that, actually. But however, there is something different for Go, especially its philosophy. For example, it's static typing. In the first talk, we have RubyConf here today. Kat here talk things about Java static typing and how it looks like those typing system in Ruby. And Go has a quite similar static typing system that's different from Ruby, but it's fun and useful when you write code. And it's a compiled language. And yeah, second thing is about it's a compiled language. If you never tried Go language before, and I would say that writing Go is fun. Then most importantly, for operations point of view, when you compile Go package, you can just use it. You don't need to install any runtime or dependency once you compiled it. It will generate a binary file. You can distribute it to every machines, and it just works. You don't need to add any runtime before you start using any Go program. So this is important. When you have any experience dealing with package management system or installing runtime on your production server, you will know this is a good thing to just distribute binaries to machines. And it has a higher level concurrency abstraction model. Many people say that, okay, they achieve a high concurrency program using Go. And yeah, it's a nice feature. And it's one thing is quite amazing. Well, I first used Go is that there is no common object-oriented design in Go. It has something different. I suggest that you should check out. Anyway, so some use case. So why you would like to try Go? First, for command line tools, for example, one of the most famous example is Heroku's HK. HK is a command line tool just like the original Hiroko tool belt. You can install it and use it to do anything related to Hiroko, like create apps or scale dynos and do lots of things, and it's fast. And system softwares like Docker, some of you might hear about Docker, is a new revolution for deployment, and it's written in Go. And DevOps tool like ngrok is a tune owning tool for debugging in your own machine, and Packer way to pack your production codes to different service provider. So there's some good use case for Go language. For example, Hiroko CLI benchmark, that's what I mentioned in the first instance, first sample, is about HK. HK is just like a Hiroko. And you can see that from the benchmark, at HK, the Hiroko toolkit written in Go is much faster than the original one written in Ruby. And it's even true on my machine. I just tried it last night and found it, okay, the HK still works much faster than the original Ruby one. So you can give it a try. However, it's still under development, so Hiroko doesn't really suggest you use it for any production use, but you can give it a try anyway. So you might then go to read some tutorial and write apps about in Go, but in my opinion, I think you don't really understand a language until you try to use it in production. So I tried it. Then when you tried it, you found like, okay, we got a nice Rails or Ruby infrastructure, lots of apps in your company written in Ruby, and you want to use it with your current Ruby codes. Okay, so you will start to do some survey and learn about that. And the first thing I learned about distributing system is from the book of Martin Fowler. In his famous book, Pattern of Enterprise Application Architecture, he said, my first law of distributed object design is don't distribute your objects. And that's true. When I try to do the following kind of remote procedural code or any things like communication between Ruby and Go, I face a lot of issues. So try not to distribute your object. But in case you really need to do so, and you can check out my following slide. So my first approach to do communication between Ruby and Go is using asynchronous processing, like Redis. Many of you might already try write Rails in a large-scale app, so you might already be familiar with things like rescue or sidekick, delay job, and one thing I think rescue is pretty nice is that its format. I mean, the job format is widely spread in the open source world. There's a different kind of library. They follow the JSON format of rescue. Okay, so you can find some rescue compatible workers written in Go language. Okay, so for the most famous one is Go workers. Their name seems quite the same, but actually different project. Go workers and Go workers. Okay, so they are all rescue compatible workers. You can just push your job using the regular rescue client in Ruby and use those workers written in Go to listen the job queue and dequeue the job and do something. And of course, there is also libraries that you can push job from Go to Ruby. Okay, so for example, this is a simple Go program that it tries to do some job from rescue, and it's quite trivial, simple, like print something out. And in rescue, you can simply just, this is in Ruby, okay. You can just simply use rescue.enqueue and enqueue that job to Redis, and then Go language will dequeue that job from Redis queue. Okay, quite simple, right? And it works for most cases. I highly recommend you to use that if you don't have, if that is suitable for you, because there is some nice thing. First is it's not fast enough, but quite reliable. I mean, fast enough means you need immediate result. Okay, that's not what it works like, because there's a worker. You need push job into work to queue and wait for some minutes, some seconds probably, some seconds, and then it will get the queue and get the things done. It might not be fast enough, but quite reliable and easy to scale out, which means that if you found out, okay, your job queue start queuing up, you can just fire more Go workers and solve it as soon as possible. But the major issue of this approach is that it's asynchronous. Sometimes you just need immediate result. For example, if you want to download a file from your backend file storage, you want to do search. For example, you implement your search functionality in Go, and then you need to get immediate result from your API. So this way might not work. And you need additional setup for queues. You might need to set up Redis instance. You might set up a RabbitMQ, 0MQ. You need another storage for those jobs. And that might cause you some problem, because that job queue might not be quite stable if you don't take care of it. Okay, so this is about asynchronous processing. And also you got a lot of problem while you try to do anything between Ruby and Go, especially because Ruby is a dynamic type language, and Go language is static typing. And so, which means that you need to do a lot of additional check in Go. It's not required, but it will put you into trouble if you don't do that. So this is a simple Go code, and you can see that it try to check and try to do type convert it to int, convert it to string, in case there is anything wrong or unexpected from job queue. Okay, so you need to do check in Go. And compared to Ruby code, this is the previous worker, this one, written in Ruby. It looks quite similar, right? So you can simply change some of your code written in Ruby into Go. You just give it a try. And from the Go workers official website, it states that it's much faster to do jobs in Go rather than in Sidekick or Rescue. I'm not sure this is a special case, but this is a computation heavy job, do matrix manipulation, multiplication. So yeah, probably it's work much better in Go. So you get performance boost if you change some work from Ruby to Go. But in our use case, actually, I still love to write in Ruby, because sometimes your job might need to do things with database. You might want to use your current implementation of object mapping. Yeah, so it depends on your use case. All right? And in some other case, you might need immediate result. Then you need RPC. What is RPC? RPC is actually remote procedure code. It's have a long history in computer science. Many people try to implement it, and I just to name a few and talk a few about remote procedure code. You can divide those tools into two categories. First is dynamical type, like JSONRPC, message pack RPC, and some is statical format, like protobuf or Swift. So what do I mean by dynamic type? Okay, that means you don't need to predefine data format. For example, everyone uses JSON here, right? And you never imagine there's something like a protocol for JSON file when you're calling an API. There's no such thing. And so there's no generate codes for both client and server, which is compared to Swift or protobuf. And it's quite easy to migrate, which means if you already have some nicely written RESTful API in Rails, you can easily change that into JSON-RPC format. So what is JSON-RPC? JSON-RPC is actually, indeed, RPC mechanism using JSON as a data structure and transfer format. And Go language has built-in library for JSON RPC. And Ruby has some nice wrappers based on event machine and simple socket. So the protocol is quite simple. Every one of you can learn it right now, I think. You just send out the request, and request has 3 keys: method, params, and ID. And method is the method name that you want to invoke. And the params, of course, just some arguments that you want to send. And ID is a way to tell which method code, to correlate method code and response. It can be any type of object. Just send out ID to identify your request. And the response will look like the following JSON. You got 3 keys: result, arrow, and ID. The ID should be the same the same as your request one. And the result is the return value of the function code. And arrow, if there is something wrong, they throw an exception, then there will be an error message. So that's demo. I'm not sure if still have enough time, but I tried to do that as soon as possible. Oops. All right, this is, you can see this is the IRB console. And so first of all, you need to require, I'm trying to show you how to call this service in Ruby. I just show you about JSON RPC, so let's do it in action. So first, you need to require socket and JSON. And then you need to start the socket, create a socket, establish a connection. Sorry, I'm a bit nervous. Haha, okay. So first I establish the socket. Then I define the JSON format. So it's this one. I'm not cheating, just in case that my demo will fail. Okay, so you see that there's a method, params, and ID. So I use a random number for ID here. Then it's easy. You just write that JSON into socket. And this demo, I hope it's not too boring. So I expect that when you send out this remote procedure code, my Go LAN app will speak out what it gets. So it's my computer. Okay, let's try it.
Hello, world.
Okay, yeah, so this is what it works like. And of course, you can read the result here, like this one. Okay, so you get a result and no error here. So this is a simple demo. All right, let's go back. Okay, so wow, the code I just showed you is here, and not quite complex. You just send the JSON using socket and get a result here. And the server, since it's written in Go, I hope that it's not really hard to you. And then, so this is about JSON RPC. Now I'm going to talk about message pack RPC. Before we talk about message pack RPC, have anyone of you heard about message pack? Wow, cool. Yeah, it's quite popular in Japan, but I didn't see too much people using it outside Japan. But it's a nice format which is more compact than JSON, and you can store binary data into JSON. For example, some people will ask me about how do I transfer binary data using JSON RPC. And I would say you can try message pack RPC because the data in message pack is binary. So, and it has pretty nice package library for Ruby, for Go, for different language. So it's pretty nice, just like JSON, and much smaller, so much faster. And message pack RPC is, however, just RPC using message pack. Again, it has nice packages for different language. So let me show you another demo. This one is much simpler. And I will just copy codes here. Okay, so first, let me set up the set up my remote procedure code server. Okay, here we go. Oops, I just forgot to require that before we using. All right. Oh, oops. Yeah, I wish I try again. That's code. Oops. Okay, got some error here, but my time is running out, so probably let's skip this demo. Okay, so anyway, it has a nice Ruby wrapper, as you can see here. Oops. Okay, just establish the link here and then do code. It's quite similar than like the one written in JSON. Okay, but there's a nice wrapper here. So static type RPC mechanism is that it has predefined format using a special language for example, Swift have IDL, like interface defined language, and usually with generate codes, and good when you have a nice plan. What do that mean? For example, protobuf is widely used by Google and have built-in support for Golang, obviously. But however, there's no official RPC mechanism. You can build one using protobuf, and Swift is open source by Facebook and officially support a wide range of language, including Ruby and Go language, and it has built-in RPC mechanism. So for example, this is IDL for Swift. When you want to set up a remote procedure code definition, you need to write this kind of interface definition using its own language. And once after that, you can use a generator to generate server and client code using Swift commands, and you copy both sides of code to Ruby and Go and integrate it, then code it. It's a bit of hard actually because you need to predefine your method, your structure, and everything, and it's hard when you need to change that because you need to regenerate it and copy it everywhere. So, but wait, after that you might probably ask me, so why not just use REST? And you need to use something quite complex like RPC, anything like that. And that's because sometimes you need persistent connection. Okay, persistent connection is the key because many of you might understand that HTTP, you just keep opening connection, closing, open, close, and using RPC over TCP connection, you can keep it persistent, which might be good if you have a real-time use case. And usually it's smaller in size and easier to implement. So yeah, it depends on how you feel like it. But in my case, I will try RESTful at first because it's quite easy to write RESTful interface in Rails or Sinatra or anything related in Ruby. But once I need more performance or want to tweak that, I will try different kinds of RPC mechanism here. So conclusion, I think learning a new language is fun and inspiring, and I believe that different language is for different purpose. Just like Go, it might be suitable for system programming. Ruby is good at different kinds of use case. And in this talk, I try to present you certain ways to communicate between Ruby and Go language, and hope when you come back, you can try Go and use it with Ruby and make something cool with both language. So thank you.
接下来是 Q&A 的时间，那有问题的听众麻烦举手。If you have any further question for Richard, please raise your hand.
Okay, so he's asking about what do I think about 0MQ. Yeah, it's pretty nice. It's actually, you can use that instead of rescue for asynchronous processing. Yeah, I think it's quite nice and stable, but I just don't talk too much about it in this slide, but yeah, it's good. You can use it between Go and Ruby, of course. So, any other questions?
Let's thank Richard.